Welcome back to the channel. We are in the home garden today and I have so many updates to share with you. I have taken out all of my broad beans. I have had a huge harvest, probably double what I got last year, and all of the pods are massive. So I'm going to keep some of those aside to save for seed for next year, and then obviously I'm going to cook up the rest. I'm hoping to make with these a broad bean pate, and if I have enough, hopefully a broad bean falafel. I think both of those will taste so delicious. I am really impressed with the broad bean harvest this year, but also I pulled out a plant just to see how the nodules of nitrogen were doing compared to last year. Now I had a few last year. I found the whole concept quite interesting to learn about, and I've pulled out a couple of the roots of the broad beans just to actually see what they look like this year, and they are huge. I probably have 100 times more nitrogen nodules on the roots of these plants than I did last year. I quite can't understand why. I would imagine the soil that they're in was slightly less nutritious than it was last year, because that was a used bed last year, so I repurposed the soil that was in there. So I didn't add any amendments to it and I didn't feed them, so maybe it's something to do with that. But really interesting, and I'm delighted because it's basically free nitrogen for the soil, and there's loads of these little nodules. So I've broken them all up and I've distributed them throughout because I'm unsure what I'm actually going to plant into that bed. Possibly carrots, or I might choose some plants that I have on my new stand in my garden and maybe pop those in instead. Rue has been here watching me harvest some of these veggies today, and she's enjoying the little bit of sunshine there. She's having a little snuggle with her brand new teddy that I bought her, who we've named Goose, and she absolutely loves him. You might be able to notice behind me that my sweet peas finally came through and they are flowering, and my cosmos are also flowering as well. So I think a couple more weeks and this little flower bed behind me will just be bursting with colour. We are like midway through the season, so it was time to obviously do a mass seed sowing again. So I'm going to pop a list in the description of everything that I've sown today, but I spent a good hour to 2 hours sowing all new seeds. I have started my onions, so the onions that I harvested a couple of weeks ago, I start actually now, so it's that far ahead that I do it, and I might do a second sowing the following month because I can't quite remember when I sowed them last year, but they were beautiful onions, and obviously with the allotment space I have so much more space to obviously plant them out. So I've sown about 72, and I'll obviously do another variety around December time. But today I sowed loads of sort of brassicas, I sowed more salad, and obviously a load more onions. So there's still plenty to sow even if you only just decided to garden in the month of July. In general, the garden feels like it's just gone like boom and it's come to life. Like everything now is just green foliage everywhere. Everything's getting a little bit taller, a little bit wider. Walking around the area is a little bit harder to do, but all in all I'm feeling really positive about the space. There are a few things that have gone to seed, which today I'm going to obviously take out and then replace with some more plants that I have on the go. But in general I'm feeling really positive. I was scouring the internet and Facebook Marketplace, and in Ireland we have a little sort of like buy and sell group that's called Done Deal. The equivalent would probably be Gumtree if you were in the UK. So I picked up a brand new plant stand for €25, which I think is a total bargain. It's really quite heavy, so I don't think it's going to blow over, and I have managed to put all my seedlings there, which looks so much better, and it's a perfect use of the vertical space in this small garden. And it also means that round the corner, which was originally seedling corner, I've been able to obviously clear that out. I'm able to use it as a potting bench, and potentially if I'm able to find a little bit of a seating area, I'll be able to take that shed up to the allotment and use that maybe as a seating area for me and Rue, and just to enjoy the garden. Because originally I was going to put the seating area right here, but the tomatoes are starting to take over. On my little seed station I have so much growing. So I have a load of squash, I have a load of pumpkins, I have one little sweet pea which I might try and plant up if I can find some space in my flower bed. I have my gorgeous sweet garlics, and just behind those are some rust resistant leeks, so I do need to get those out. On the tier just below are a load of brassicas, so I've got some cavallonero, some Brussels sprouts and some red Brussels sprouts, which are going to be super interesting to see grow. and just an array of salads and some obviously stuff that I've started from seed to try and obviously succession sow, and a few more herbs. But I think this little planter is absolutely lovely and I'm super chuffed. My hydrangea has just started to sort of bloom and flower. It's put on a beautiful lime green leaf with a beautiful blush of pink, and I think it absolutely looks gorgeous. I also wanted to say a massive thank you to everyone who tuned in to last week's video. I know my uploads have been a little bit lacking the last couple of weeks. It was in and around 4 weeks since I had issued my last sort of garden update, and for no particular reason other than obviously life got really busy. But a load of you put in some beautiful comments and was like, welcome back, but I'd almost felt like I hadn't been away. So I just want to give you everybody a little bit of context on obviously where I was. So life completely took over. I became an auntie for the second time, and I had family come over to visit from England, and I hadn't seen them in a really long time. So like I'm talking like years. So I took a couple of weekends off and just spent some real quality time with my family. I recently got some results from college as well. So my second year is almost complete. I passed all of my exams with flying colours and all of my assignments, but I have one left, which is a huge 30,000 word research piece. So that is due in August, and I'm hoping that when college completely finishes, I'll be able to dedicate a little bit more time to creating videos. But that's why I mentioned a thank you to everybody for your patience in the last video, because it has taken me a little while to obviously create videos and get them out to you. That's not to say that I'm not in the garden. I'm in the garden and the allotment multiple times a week, tipping away, getting things ready, and hopefully reaping the rewards from all of the hard work, as I'm sure all of you guys are as well at home. So behind me is some spinach that has actually bolted. I didn't get any harvest off this at all, and the variety was supposed to be bolt resistant, so that's a little bit disappointing and quite surprising considering it hasn't been that warm. The only warm week we've had was the week I moved the shed up at the allotment, so I have no idea why it's bolted. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to pick something from my little seed stand and plant it in here. It really is sad when things go to seed. I feel like we have the perfect climate for things like spinach. Like, it's pretty cool in the spring and it's pretty cool in the winter, but I never seem to grow it that successfully. I've only ever had one good year with it, and that was a baby leaf spinach, so maybe I need to go back and find that variety. So now I've taken out the broad beans, I've made a little bit of space, so I think I'm going to pop in my sweet garlics into there. That will allow me to keep an eye on them, and I can make sure they grow super nice for my grow along with Robin. They actually look beautiful at the minute. They look so nice. They're not going to get super big, so I'm going to pop them at the end of the patio bed, and then I'm going to backfill the rest of that bed with some more carrots, because they are a quick cropping variety and I can still sow them in July and get a later crop closer to winter, which will be lovely. So as well as planting out my sweet garlics, I have obviously some extra room in this bed, so I did dig out a little squash plant from my plant stand. This variety is a Cabbage, and I'm just going to place it at the base of my Mange 2 frame, and then hopefully it will start to grow up that vertically, and then as the Mange 2 kind of gets a bit tired, I'll have something growing along that frame to take over from the plants that are currently in there. And as well as my amazing broad bean harvest, I think I've got some Mange 2 ready, which is so exciting. So I've got two varieties in here, Golden Sweet and Purple Shiraz. So I'm going to have a little rummage around and see what I can get from here. And I may also have some raspberries. I've already had a massive harvest from here already, probably about 3 weeks ago, and then there was some that weren't quite ready. So I've left a couple of bags on, and I'm hoping that I might get a mini harvest so I can pop some fresh berries onto my breakfast tomorrow morning, which would be lovely. Before I went ahead and sowed those seeds this morning, I was doing a little bit of research to see obviously what you can actually sow this time of year, just so I didn't forget anything. And I didn't realise that you could actually do a second sowing of Mange 2 and things like that. So I'm a little bit gutted that I haven't already got some in the go, because obviously with the broad beans coming out, I could have a fresh set of beans going in. So that's something I'm definitely going to take with me for next year. So figuring out what can go in when other stuff comes out, especially with obviously the allotment space, I'm able to kind of rotate things a little bit better than I was last year. but I'm also, with the space, able to leave these plants obviously go to full sort of maturity, whereas before I'd normally just take them out a little bit earlier in order to get something else in and harvest the crop a little bit smaller. So it's really, really nice this year to be able to kind of garden that little bit different and actually get the full potential out of my plants, because I haven't been able to do that just yet. These are looking absolutely amazing. These are the most gorgeous dark colour of purple, and I'm feeling really, really chuffed. And they've just created this beautiful wall, and it just makes me feel like I'm my own little cocoon when I walk out the door, and I feel like my own little like plant haven. I absolutely love it. So there's tons in here. I'm going to have to really dig deep and find every single one, because I don't want any of them to start going to seed, because I think the more you pick these, the better they get. I also find it really handy as well, it growing mange too that's not green, because it obviously stands out a little bit better than green on green, so it makes it a little bit easier to find all the things. I'm feeling really chuffed with how the garden is progressing. I was a little bit unsure about dedicating such a big space to flowers, but you know what, I'm really feeling the benefit of it. I've got some beautiful hoverflies in there, and I've never seen hoverflies in the garden before, and the bees are coming in, which is really, really nice. So I'm really glad that I made the step to do that, and all in all I can get around the place. And obviously I was feeling a bit sad earlier in the season when I took obviously the main bed that was in here out, but like my tomatoes are thriving. I'm cramming the space as much as I can in typical Laura style when it comes to gardening, but I'm able to get in and out, and I just think if the weather holds off now for the next couple of months, I'll have a beautiful tomato harvest. So I just want to thank you so much for spending the day with me in my garden, and I will see you for another garden related video very, very soon. Take care. Bye.